Now, after that, we have explored the 49 key processes with its alignment with the knowledge areas and the process groups. Let's now talk about how to choose the right process or which process should I use. And in this session, we'll focus on choosing the right process for your project, talking about the predictive and agile approaches. So, project management is not a one size fit all approach, and different projects requires a different set of processes depending on factors like the scope, complexity, organizational needs, industry, and regulatory requirements. The PMP Guide, 6th edition, provided 49 processes, but it is not necessary to use all of them in every project. Instead, project managers must analyze their project unique requirements and apply only the relevant processes. This concept, known as tailoring, ensures that the project is managed efficiently and effectively without unnecessary steps slowing it down. For instance, a small short term project may not require a detailed risks assessment or formal procurement management, while a large infrastructure project may need an extensive documentation, procurement processes, and regulatory compliance procedures. So, understanding which process to apply is crucial for optimizing the project execution and that, minimizing the risks around the large project and ensuring the project success. What are the factors that influence the process selection? So, when selecting the appropriate project management processes, project managers must consider multiple factors, such as the project size and complexity, which are primary key factors here that you need to look for, and also the budget constraints and the risk level involved in each of these projects. Also, in such industry standards and regulatory requirements, it influence the process selection. So let's say that smaller projects may require a few processes, while a larger or multi-year project demand a comprehensive planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling measures that have maybe a budget constraint may also limit the extent to which process like the risk management and procurement planning are implemented. Additionally, as we say, the regulatory requirements project influence the process selection. Industries such as the construction or healthcare and finance requires a strict documentation and approval processes and compliance processes. Furthermore, organization policies and stakeholder expectations shape the process that you need to use. So, some companies have a well established project governance framework that dictate the process usage, while in other cases, stakeholder needs and customer requirements may drive the process selection. What is the importance of tailoring in project management? So, tailoring, as we've discussed earlier, it's the process of adapting the key processes in the PIM book to fit the specific need of a project. You don't have to follow all of them and you don't need to ignore all of them. So, you need to tailor based on the project nature to fit the specific need of your project. And the PMI recognizes that there are no two projects are identical. So each project has different requirements, different instructions, and different goals. So project managers must apply only the necessary processes while removing or modifying others to suit the project nature. And effective tailoring, ensuring that projects run efficiently without unnecessary steps, and that cause a save of time, efforts, and resources. To have an example here, let's say that an IT software development project on a startup environment may not require formalized procurement processes because the team is using in house resources. On the other hand, a government infrastructure project will require a detailed procurement plan, stakeholder approvals, change management plans, and risk management processes to meet the compliance and regulatory standards. So, understanding when and how to tailor a process ensure that the project remains structured without becoming overly complicating the project processes. What are the common use processes for different project types? So, different types of project require a different set of process, as we said, based on the size, complexity, industry, and regulatory environment. For small projects, let's say that the core focus here is on the scope, schedule, and basic risk management, while extensive processes like procurement management and stakeholder engagement may not be necessary for the small projects. On the other hand, you have the large scale projects, which requires an additional processes such as the integration management, procurement planning, stakeholder engagement, which becomes very critical to ensure the smooth execution and compliance. Similarly, projects in highly regulated industries like healthcare and finance must follow a strict quality management compliance project processes to adhere to the legal and to the regulatory requirements. Now let's talk about the process selection for different methodologies. So process selection also depends on the project methodology in use. In predictive or waterfall projects, follow a structured approach or the sequential approach where detailed planning and documentation are required before execution. These projects require a process like scope management, schedule management, cost management, procurement planning to ensure a smooth progress. Constant agile projects, for example, follow an iterative and flexible approach, focusing on continuous improvement and adaptability. Agile projects prioritize the processes like stakeholder engagement and adaptability. These projects or agile projects prioritize, let's say, these engagement over the following a plan. it it focus more about the interactions that comes from the stakeholders rather than just following a plan. In hybrid approaches, that combines elements of both methodologies, that takes from the predictive and from the agile methods or processes. And hybrid approaches combine elements such as using the structured planning for high level objectives while allowing the flexibility in execution. Understanding these methodologies help the project managers to select the most suitable processes for their specific project needs. Now let's have a look about what exactly is to have an overview about what are the predictive project management more depth. So predictive project management, which also known as the waterfall approach, follows a linear step-by-step process in the case of initiating, planning, executing, and then monitoring and controlling, and finally closing. So these are the key steps as the PMI that is involved in waterfall or predictive approaches, which each phase is completed before moving to the next stage. And this methodology is best suited for projects with well defined requirements, strict deadlines or high predictability. So you know the scope and you know what you are planning to do, and you don't have any, let's say, stakeholder feedbacks is required to do any changes in the scope. And that extensive planning and that require an extensive planning, scheduling, assessment. These are performed upfront, ensuring that each phase is carefully mapped out. Industries like construction, manufacturing, and large scale infrastructure projects often use the predictive approach due to the need for detailed planning and regulatory compliance. While this method ensures the structure and control, it lacks of the flexibility, making it difficult to accommodate changing requirements during execution in such industries like the software implementation. Next, let's talk about the Agile project. So, Agile project management follows an iterative and flexible approach, allowing teams to respond to changing requirements through the project lifecycle. Agile framework like Scrum and Kanban and Lean, don't worry because we are gonna discuss each of these frameworks on Agile section. So these frameworks emphasize the collaboration and customer feedback and incremental delivery. This methodology is widely used in software development, marketing, and production innovation, where requirements frequently evolve and change. So instead of detailed upfront planning, Agile projects prioritize the adaptability with teams working on short cycle, which we call it sprints, to deliver a value quickly. The agile approach improves the team collaboration and focus on the stakeholder engagement and responsive to change.